You never expressed what you wanted because you were vibrating at the wrong level, and you didn't even know it, because it's not what you wish for, it's not what you think, nor what you feel. It's what your attention silently sustains, all the time. And if you still haven't understood that, the universe keeps sending back exactly what you're trying to avoid. Scarcity, repetition, frustration. Thoth already knew this millennia ago, and he revealed 6 levels of vibration that change everything you attract. But hardly anyone talks about them, because those who master these levels stop being controlled. In this video, you'll understand exactly where your vibration is right now and what's blocking your manifestations, even if you're doing everything right. It's not technique, it's frequency. And what you'll discover here will never let you vibrate unconsciously again. If you're seeing this, it's because you've already started to move out of the most dangerous level of all, and your activation starts now. That which you fix your attention on grows in power. Have you ever noticed that no matter how much you try to change certain aspects of your life, everything seems to go back to the same place? As if there was some kind of invisible force pulling you back, no matter how hard you try. You change jobs, but the feeling of dissatisfaction returns. You end a toxic relationship only to enter another almost exactly the same. You set out to do things differently, and a few days later, everything repeats. That's not called bad luck, it's not karma, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's vibrational repetition. There's a pattern constantly operating behind your conscious life, an underground flow that dictates your thoughts, emotions, choices, and the most impressive part, all of this happens without you realizing it. You believe you're making new decisions, but in reality, you're just reacting to the same old impulses, conditioned, programmed over the years. And this programming has an epicenter, your attention. Yes, it's that again. But now we're talking about something even more subtle. Your attention isn't just distracted, it's hijacked. You're no longer using attention as a conscious tool. It's been captured, conditioned to automatically respond to the same stimuli, the same memories, the same triggers. And until that's broken, the reality you live in will be like a scratched record, always playing the same part of the song. This hijacking of attention creates what we call an unconscious vibrational identity, a state in which your vibration is so used to emitting the same type of frequency that you don't even realize you're creating more of the same. It's as if your soul were locked in a cycle, not because you lack power, but because your energy is operating on autopilot. And the most dangerous part of all? The system we live in benefits immensely from this. The media, social networks, the education model, the social structures, everything was designed to capture and keep your attention on the same content. Fear, scarcity, comparison, frustration, distraction. And the more your attention stays on these focal points, the more your vibration remains low. Because attention is creation. Where you place your focus, energy flows. And where energy flows, manifestation happens. You may be doing everything you can consciously to improve your life, but if your attention, even for just a few minutes, stays trapped in the old pattern, you're vibrating in conflict. And where there's vibrational conflict, there is no smooth manifestation. There's blockage, noise, silent sabotage. So when you feel like you're taking one step forward and 2 steps back, know this: it's not a lack of ability. It's because your attention is still conditioned to operate in old vibrational states. And those states turn into recurring realities, because the universe doesn't react to your surface-level intentions. It responds faithfully to the level of consciousness where your attention is anchored. And the most intriguing part is that this cycle doesn't take hold suddenly. It seeps in slowly, every day. It's the moment you wake up and grab your phone without thinking. It's the news that fills you with fear. It's the automatic comparison with someone on social media. It's the negative thought you accept without questioning. Every detail of this daily behavior reaffirms your current vibrational position without you even realizing it. This unconscious vibrational repetition is like an algorithm. It learns from what you focus on the most and starts giving you more of that. And just like a social media algorithm, it doesn't judge whether it's good or bad for you. It just delivers what you feed. If your attention remains trapped in lack, fear, or doubt, it delivers more scarcity, more insecure situations, more repetitions of pain. That's why the biggest challenge isn't manifesting something new. It's breaking the pattern that keeps recreating the old. And that can only happen when you realize your attention is conditioned and consciously decide to take it off autopilot. And now that you understand the hidden dynamic of vibrational repetition, you're ready to clearly see what sets each level of consciousness apart, and how your attention decides what you can or can't manifest in each one. From here on, the levels will be revealed, and the journey of vibrational awakening truly begins. Level 1. Survival. The prison of invisible fear. It's at this moment, when you begin to clearly see the silent looping of unconscious attention, that an even harsher truth comes to light. Most people are vibrating in a state of survival. This is the first level, the starting point, the densest and most common of all vibrational states. And the most tragic part is that almost no one realizes they're operating there. You wake up, and before even taking a deep breath, your mind is already scanning for what could go wrong during the day. The debts, the unanswered messages, the problems that need immediate solutions. Attention jumps straight into the field of lack. And when you give your attention to what's missing, you plant more lack. When you fix your mind on fear, you emit fear. When your vibration is collapsed into worry, reality simply responds, multiplying exactly what you most want to avoid. This state is treacherous because it disguises itself as normal. Everything around you seems to reinforce the idea that this is just how it is, that life is hard, that the world is dangerous, that you have to hustle to avoid falling behind. Survival has become the new normal, but it's not normal to live in a constant state of threat. It's not natural to wake up every day with shortness of breath, a tight chest, the feeling that something is always about to go wrong. In the survival level, your attention is pulled away from you. The focus locks onto what's missing, what's far away, what hasn't arrived. You observe reality through the eyes of "it's still not enough," and the field, ever obedient, gives you exactly that. More delays, more scarcity, more lack. You try to start a business, but look at your bank account and feel a knot in your stomach. You want to invest in something, but the first question that comes up is, what if I lose everything? You think about changing your life, but the image of everything going wrong takes over your mind. And just like that, the vibration is fixed, the field responds, the repetition continues. And here is the deepest point. When you live in this state, conscious manifestation becomes impossible, because what you're sending out to the field is fear, it's insecurity, it's absence, and there isn't enough energy to create something new while your vibration is stuck in the instinct to constantly protect yourself. That's why so many people say they've tried everything, but nothing works. They think they're unlucky, that the universe is against them. But what's really happening is that, even while wishing for incredible things, they're still vibrating from an inner place that just wants to avoid collapse. And that kind of frequency doesn't manifest dreams, it manifests repetition. And the cruelest part is that this creates a reinforcing cycle. The person gets frustrated for not being able to change their reality. That frustration creates more fear. The fear feeds the scarcity. The scarcity reinforces the lack. And the cycle goes on. Not out of malice, not because of karma, but from pure lack of vibrational awareness. It's at this point that a new space opens, a field where you realize you're no longer completely stuck in the survival instinct. You start to glimpse the possibility of creating, of acting, of moving energy consciously, and at that moment, the second level begins to manifest. Level 2. Control. When effort gives you breath and charges you a high price. And it's in that small shift of attention, when you start to look inward and question the cycle, that something new awakens. The realization that you can do something, that you're not completely trapped, that there's some wiggle room, a gap where action seems capable of changing the course of your reality. And that drives you. You get up with energy, make plans, make decisions. Action becomes your new mantra, and you step straight into the second vibrational level, the level of control. This state is electrifying. After so long operating in fear, the feeling that you can actually do something is like a breath of freedom. You start moving with focus. You sign up for courses, start eating better, set goals, map out strategies. For the first time, you feel like you can change your reality with your own hands, and results show up. That's important to say. They do appear. Your body improves, your productivity increases, your money starts to flow more steadily. You feel like you're building something, and yes, you are. But there's a detail no one tells you at this level. Everything depends on you, again. But now, instead of running from fear, you're chasing control. In this stage, attention leaves despair and locks onto doing. The focus becomes, what do I need to do? How do I make this happen? What's the next goal? You wake up already visualizing tasks, planning deliverables, calculating paths. It feels exciting at first, but over time something strange happens. The effort starts to feel heavy, because everything requires your active and constant presence. Everything demands energy. Nothing flows without a push from you. And that's the cost of this vibrational level. Exhaustion. You're no longer reacting to scarcity. Now, you're trying to force abundance. This is where the paradox of control is born. The more you try to control reality, the more it slips through the cracks of emotional fatigue. You're doing everything right, but the feeling of suffocation returns. Because beneath the non-stop action, there's still a root of insecurity. You're not acting out of flow, but out of fear of stopping. It's like swimming against the current. With each stroke, you move forward. But if you stop for a second, you feel like you'll be swept back. This constant pressure for results starts to drain the lightness. The energy gets heavy. Small victories lose their taste. You start living in the logic of what's next. You achieve something and immediately jump to the next goal. Because attention hasn't learned to rest. It's still trapped in the doing cycle. And the quietest trap of this level is that it looks like evolution. You feel productive, you feel in motion, and you are. But you're stuck in a mental system where value is measured by performance, where worth is earned through effort, where success means deserving everything you get, and that's exhausting, dehumanizing. And worst of all, it's not sustainable. Manifestation does happen at this stage, but it comes at a cost, because your vibrational field is operating under the logic of tension. The vibration you emit through action isn't one of abundance, but of urgency. You vibrate for results, but you don't vibrate presence. And when that happens, reality responds, with instability. You do achieve things, but nothing holds. It's the typical case of gaining and losing, of moving forward and falling back, of watching everything grow only to see it collapse later. Because the vibration that created the result doesn't have the structure to sustain what was generated. What's born from effort needs effort to keep going. And one day, the body demands a toll. The mind screams, the soul freezes. This is the moment when many people enter spiritual burnout. The feeling of doing everything But nothing is fulfilling. Nothing is enough. Because the emptiness isn't filled by action. It dissolves with presence. At this point, something starts to feel off. You look at everything you've built and realize that even with real accomplishments, there's a sense that you're still fighting. The energy of struggle is still there, silent, disguised as productivity, but present. And when that weight starts to be felt, a new question arises within you. A question that isn't rational, but energetic. You begin to sense that maybe there's another way. A way to create without carrying the world on your shoulders. A way to manifest with ease. To access something that isn't based on effort, but on coherence between what you think, feel, and do. And it's in that moment that the field begins to vibrate differently. Because you're about to discover that it's not about how much you do, but about the vibration that comes before every action. And this is the beginning of a deep change. Level 3. Coherence. Real frequency starts from within. But when the desire to find lightness grows stronger than the anxiety to control, something inside you begins to reorganize. It's almost unnoticeable at first. An intuition, a different kind of sigh, a new silence between your thoughts. And then you realize, maybe what's missing isn't doing more, but aligning better what you're already doing. This is the beginning of the third level of vibration. The frequency of coherence. Here your attention is no longer on fear or frantic action. It begins to turn inward, toward the quality of the thoughts you feed, the emotions that arise behind what you say, the source of your choices. It's an internal adjustment, almost microscopic, but with monumental impact. You realize there's no point in meditating in the morning and spending the rest of the day in tension. That it makes no sense to visualize abundance while feeling guilty for wanting more. That repeating empowering affirmations while comparing yourself to everyone on Instagram doesn't create manifestation. It creates conflict, fragmented vibration. At this level, you begin to seek coherence between what you think, feel, and do. You start observing your own patterns with more presence. You understand that every thought generates a feeling, and that feeling, when repeated, becomes a vibrational field. And that field is what shapes your reality. You no longer want just results. You want vibrational truth. You want your outer life to reflect who you are inside. At this stage, practices like visualization, journaling, and meditation are no longer tasks to check off. They become bridges, tools that reconnect you with your original vibration, not as magic tricks, but as acts of realignment. You feel like you're returning to yourself, and that brings real change. Yes, real change. Here, results stop being temporary. You see transformations happening in important areas. Your body responds. Your mind slows down. You begin to attract situations that align more with who you truly are. Relationships gain depth. Money flows more naturally. Everything seems to start falling into place. But there's a detail that catches you by surprise. Not everything changes. You improve, but you feel like there's still a blind spot, an area that doesn't evolve, a part of your life that insists on repeating patterns, even with all this inner work. And it's at this point that the third level reveals its main limitation. Your attention, although more conscious, is still divided. Part of you is already vibrating truth, but another part still waits for signs from the outside world to allow itself to feel. You want to feel safe, but need to see the money first. You want to feel love, but wait for the other person to make the first move. You want to feel successful, but look for external proof before believing it. It's as if there's still an invisible rope tied to your old identity, and that rope holds back your full expansion. And this is the beginning of a radical shift, because when you stop trying to align thought and emotion just to seem coherent, and begin to be someone different from the inside out, the field responds like never before. Level 4. Identity. When being redefines everything. It's precisely when this new vibration begins to stabilize within you that the inevitable question arises. If I'm not my thoughts or my emotions, then who am I? This question isn't philosophical, it's energetic, because at this exact point, you enter the fourth vibrational level, identity. Here, your attention no longer focuses on what you want to have, or what you feel, or what you do. It turns to something much deeper, who you are being while everything is happening. It's when you begin to disidentify from the old you, the one who needed external validation to feel worthy, the one who reacted to the world instead of choosing how to vibrate, the one who felt small in the face of challenges and invisible in the face of possibility. Now you understand that everything you experience is a mirror of the being you sustain, and that being is a choice. It's no longer about thinking like someone abundant or faking it till you make it. It's about internally sustaining the vibration of someone who already is what they wish to experience. You no longer desire the reality, you begin to embody it, to live it in the field before it exists in matter. This is the true origin of coherent manifestation. Because when you vibrate as someone who already is, the universe has no choice but to reflect that frequency. Reality doesn't resist true identity, because it isn't a mask, it's felt, sustained, alive. At this level, the most impactful changes begin to appear. Doors open without effort, opportunities show up unexpectedly. The right people cross your path, because the field, which once reacted to fear or effort, now responds directly to your state of being. But this transition doesn't happen without resistance, because the old ego is still there. It watches in silence and waits for you to doubt, waits for the first sign of insecurity, the first slip, the first thought that says, "What if it doesn't work?" And then it strikes. This is where the most subtle and most dangerous part of the entire vibrational process begins, the sabotage of the new identity. You wake up on a more sensitive day, and suddenly everything feels off. The certainties that were solid begin to weaken. You look around and don't see results as clearly as before. Small flaws in the plan, unexpected reactions from people, an emotional exhaustion with no explanation. This is where many people turn back, give up, retreat, because they're still seeking security in what's visible. But those who push through this final resistance access a turning point that can't be explained with logic, because the field stops following logic and starts following energy. Level 5. Quantum vibration. When the field responds instantly. And it's exactly at this point that something changes forever. Manifestation stops being a construction and starts happening as an immediate reflection of your most subtle vibration. You no longer need to prove to the universe what you deserve. You don't need to repeat, feel, visualize, or ask anymore, because the field responds before you even formulate it. The fifth level isn't about intention. It's about fusion. You don't visualize what you want. You dissolve into the field where everything already is. Here, your attention is no longer fixed on a specific desire or a linear goal. It expands to such a high level of presence that your vibrational field resonates with possibilities your mind couldn't even imagine. In this state, you become a living frequency, and that frequency begins to shape the world around you with an almost supernatural precision. Things don't come to you because you asked for them. They come because you've become the channel through which they naturally flow. And we're not talking about magic in a childish sense. We're talking about vibrational science, electromagnetic fields, resonance, and wave collapse. You access what the ancients called the higher reality, the plane where time doesn't operate by the same logic as matter. where healings happen in the now, where encounters occur with absolute synchronicity, where reality is shaped at the speed of focus. You don't push life anymore. You align with it. There is no more struggle, no more waiting. It's as if everything you need is already positioned around you, just waiting for your vibration to be clean enough to touch it. And then, suddenly, a number repeats on the clock and a message appears. You meet the right person without planning it. A symptom disappears without intervention. A door opens at the exact moment you stopped looking for it. These signs aren't coincidences. They're confirmation codes. The field is responding in real time because you've stopped operating on the plane of desires and started operating on the plane of pure vibration. And it's there that something grand begins to emerge. Level 6. Divine vibration, when the whole expresses itself through you. And it's at this point that vibration stops having a personal center. Your attention is no longer on who you think you are or on what you want to achieve. It dissolves into the whole. There is no longer a you vibrating high. There is the entire universe expressing itself with total fluidity through your presence. There is no desire. There is no control. There's not even any effort to maintain the state. Life flows with such perfection that everything that happens, even what would seem like a problem at other levels, reveals itself as part of a greater symphony. You stop labeling events as good or bad. You start seeing everything as necessary. In this state, vibration is no longer generated by you. It emanates from a deeper source that acts silently. It's as if universal consciousness is using your body, your attention, your mind, as an instrument to carry out a plan you no longer need to understand. Just live. And that changes everything. You no longer need to fight against thoughts or try to hold on to positive feelings. You're no longer at the surface of vibration. You are the frequency itself, completely merged with what Thoth called the mind of the all. Here, manifestations don't happen because you want them to, but because of pure coherence. Everything vibrates with a divine logic, a hidden intelligence that reveals itself through impossible synchronicities, spontaneous healings, sacred encounters. But this level isn't something to be achieved. It doesn't come through techniques or study or years of practice. It comes through surrender. Total surrender. Surrender to the flow, to what is yet to come, to what no longer is. And that's frightening, because the one who surrenders dies. The identity dies, the ego dies, control dies. But it is in that death that the real self is finally born and remains. Still, even those who touch this level can fall, because the world keeps calling, matter keeps pressing, and the ego still tries to sneak back in with the promise of protecting you. That's why true mastery isn't in accessing this state. It's in sustaining the two levels just below it, the vibration of identity and the vibration of the quantum field. They are like pillars between the human and the divine. And now, if you truly want to live this new reality every day, you need to understand something few people teach. There's a practical code to keep your attention and your vibration between these two levels, even in the midst of chaos. And it begins with separation. You need to be able to separate from your old story. Observe your thoughts and emotions as if they weren't you, because they aren't. They're just vibrational remnants of a field you're already leaving behind. Then comes the feeling. You need to create a new vibration, not as a future desire, but as a present feeling. You feel like someone who already is. You walk, speak, breathe as someone who already lives in another field. And then comes the hardest part, the sustaining. You need to hold that vibration even when nothing around you has changed, even when the bill is still due, even when the problem isn't solved yet. because the universe doesn't respond to what you want to change. It responds to the frequency you maintain while the change hasn't yet happened. That's the secret. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already begun to awaken. And that is no coincidence. Drop this in the comments. My attention is my portal. This phrase anchors your vibration and can activate someone else who's reading too. Oh, and if you want to support the channel more directly, there's a link in the first pinned comment where you can contribute to help spread more content like this. If you prefer, you can also use the Thanks a Lot button here on YouTube. Besides supporting, you also activate the vibration of conscious exchange. And before you go, a special video has been carefully selected for you to continue this journey. Just click on the screen and I'll see you there, at a new level of consciousness. And remember, where your attention goes, your reality is born.